Hello and welcome to the AttendStar Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Brennan Robinson, and here with me today is Gary Bradshaw, the president of AttendStar. Here on the AttendStar Happy Hour podcast, we talk about all things ticketing, marketing, and logistics. Gary, we have the privilege of having Gary on today, and the topic of this episode are airshow stories. We want to hear some airshow stories today, and Gary's got a ton of airshow stories. If you have met Gary, which you may have if you ever attend the ICAS convention held annually in Las Vegas, you know that Gary has a ton of experience in the airshow industry, ton of experience in ticketing in general, and has a lot of good insight to bring to the table. So, Gary, why don't you start off by just telling us just about your background?
Okay. Thank you. My background, believe it or not, is actually ticketing and promotion. So I was actually a concert promoter, and I promoted hundreds of events all over the United States and Canada. And so not as a booking agent or as a manager, but as a promoter. So I do what our customers do, our clients do. Mm-hmm. When they lose money, I lose money. Yeah. I've lost money just like we don't want them to lose money. So I take what I do very personally because I've been where they have been financially.
Yeah, you've been in their shoes before.
I have been in their shoes before. And so I did that. And I also worked in radio for 4 years. I worked in marketing. And so I've done a lot of different things all around the entertainment industry. And ticketing and marketing and blending those two together with logistics was kind of what I envisioned when I started this, because what I was trying to do was replace or find what I couldn't find the years that I was doing it on my own.
Sure. Yeah. Very cool. So that's kind of how you got here.
Yeah.
Right. Why, what are the reasons, why did you start AttendStar, and what did you originally envision AttendStar would be?
Okay. Well, that's a good question too. I started AttendStar because I love aviation. Yeah. And I started the company, unlike some of our competitors, like nobody. We started at 2 ticket air shows
specifically for air shows.
Air shows. That's what I was interested in doing. Yeah. I actually, since I was 12 years old, I've been hanging out at airports. Mm-hmm. And I'm privileged to be able to say that one of the largest air shows we do is the St. Louis Air Show in St. Louis County, Missouri. And what was cool about that is this is a true story. When I was 12 years old, I used to hang out at that airport because my dad flew corporate jets as a passenger at that airport. So he would go off on business and fly. And I got to where I wanted to just stay at the airport and hang out while he went on a trip and came back and picked me up at dinner time. So what's cool about that experience is we actually do that air show now.
Yeah.
And so in the very building that I hung out at when I was 12, and now I got a lot of air show experience and ticketing, so I got gray hair. So 12 was a long time ago. Yeah. But we do that air show, and I go there now for pre-air show visits, and I meet in the same office that I used to hang out in.
Very cool.
So it's a very cool experience. And but the aviation industry, I'm a pilot and flight instructor. I've got a commercial pilot certificate, multi-engine land. So I used to teach flying to people and share the joy of flying with people. So I love it when people go to air shows. Yeah. It's a great family adventure where everybody get the memories that you get in an air show go on for decades. Yeah. Quite literally. I mean, they really last a long time. You get to see things and experience things that you just don't see anywhere else. Yeah. Concerts are everywhere. Not that they're not important, but they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. The Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, they only do 80 shows a year. Yeah. So when you see one, you remember it.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's really why I got started in air shows, because I love the air show business.
It's amazing at air shows watching the smile on all the little kids' faces, and the thrill of it, and how scary it can be at times when you're not expecting the jets to fly over your head. We recently, this past June, had the Great Tennessee Air Show here. Our office is at the Smyrna Airport in Middle Tennessee. So, that's kind of our home air show.
Yep. That's how fanatical we are about air shows. Our office is at the airport. So
exactly.
I'm not sure how to say that any other way. Yeah. I guarantee you there's no other ticketing companies at the airport.
Right. Exactly. Pretty dedicated.
Yeah. We're pretty dedicated.
did you ever imagine yourself as, your company being, a leader in the ticketing business for air shows? I mean, the amount of Blue Angel,
Yeah,
Thunderbird, non-jet team shows we work with year after year. I mean, it's huge.
it is. Did I imagine it? No, but I dreamed it. I mean, I dreamed of being the leader. I think part of becoming the leader is just having an obsession.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
what happens is that when you get to the point where you're getting referrals for air show after air show after air show,
Right.
that is what it's all about. That's when I didn't figure that out till 4 or 5 years after doing it. In
Yeah.
fact, it took us 4 or 5 years until we got recommendations.
Right.
And then they started coming faster and faster and faster. And
Yeah.
and now it's like, oh, this is pretty cool, actually,
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoy it.
It is very cool.
I never get tired of it. I dream about air shows when I sleep, literally. And it's so exciting. The reason air shows fascinate me is not only because of the entertainment value, because they're so complex.
Yeah.
The complexity that our clients go through in creating their air show and the challenges that they have to deal with that many people at airports that were never designed to have that many people in them
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, like, when you think about it, you're inviting 50,000 people to come to your airport for a day, not in the terminal building, but out on the field, where normally all you have is fences keeping people out.
Where are we going to park all those cars?
2 days, 2 days a year. Now you're going to let 50,000 people come in to where they're not allowed to go to the rest of the year.
Right.
And that is a lot. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And you're right. Where are we going to park 20,000 cars?
Yeah.
And how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
I just love it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, and logistics is a huge,
It is.
Foundational service that we
Yeah.
provide at AttendStar, and I think it's really a differentiator in this
I think
industry.
it is. We get involved in the detail, like how many buses do you have? How many acres of parking do you have?
Yeah.
I mean, we just really, and a lot of that has just come second nature.
Yeah.
How do people get from their zip code? What is the best road to take to the airport?
Mm-hmm.
Working with local highway patrol, sheriff departments, police departments is something we do normally, which I don't think anybody else does that.
Yeah.
Because part of the job is to get the people into the show and get them through the gate so they're happy when they get to the show. If they're mad driving to the parking lot and then they're mad going through the gate because of a bad experience, they arrive at your show mad.
Yeah.
So our job is to get them there happy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they going to be mad when they leave in the traffic? Yes. But no event is immune to that.
Right.
They all come in over 3 to 4 hours from 8 till noon. The show happens, and then about 4:30 or 5:30, the show ends, and they all leave at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just the way it is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what do you love most about working with air shows, partnering with air shows, and also, what's your favorite memory from ticketing an air show? Top of mind. What's the first memory that comes to mind?
I would say probably the little kids and the adults too. When they go up to the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds and they meet them at the fence line.
They meet the pilots.
They actually get to meet the pilot. The pilots will walk over and say hi to people.
Yeah.
And I think that the people are just stunned that they got to meet these folks.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool. I also think some of the coolest memories are like in St. Louis, for example, where the gate is so efficient and you're bringing in 30 or 40 or 50,000 people. And it's just, the line is just no more than 25 to 50 people long.
Yeah.
That is like really cool. I mean, some people get off on strange things, but that's mine. I mean, I love it when people move through the gate efficiently and the scanners are just beeping one after the other and you got high-speed scanners and people are like, oh, this was cool. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
They act like they're getting ready for a nightmare, but they turn out it's not a nightmare.
Right.
I just think the smiles on people's faces is very cool. And I love it. The complexity of the parking, the traffic, the planning, the security lanes, how people get to the seating, how the concessions are laid out. I got a friend of mine that's in the concession business. There's a lot of science that goes into that. It's really cool.
Right.
To see how our job is really like Disney World. Our job is to put all the complexity behind the scenes so the public looks like it just happened magically.
Yeah.
That's really what we do. And it's just a lot of fun trying to hide that from the public.
Yeah. And the amount of work is significant.
It is. And you always learn so much from every show.
Yeah.
I've never not learned anything from a show. I
Right.
always learn stuff. And what's even cooler is since I go to a lot of these shows and I own the company, we come back to Nashville and we put into practice what we've learned at the shows. When we see something not working, we go, hey, you know what? We could do that better. Or we could offer that service.
Yeah.
And that's what's really fun too, is seeing
Right.
it firsthand and then making changes. With
Yeah.
our staff, we've got engineering, development, server management. We got the right staff, everything from marketing, what you do,
Yeah.
to the technical logistics, which all of us do, the client success managers. I mean, we've really formulated, I think, a really good team that's very airshow centric.
Yeah, absolutely. And in our last episode with Sarah Talley, we really got to dive deep into what a client success manager is, what they do, and why they're here, and how important they are to making sure our clients have an easy time and the event is a success.
That is why they're called success managers.
Exactly.
And we don't do what a lot of companies do. We don't have a support team of like 6 or 8 people. And everybody answers every call for every client.
Right.
Here we try to assign a client to a success manager so that the client success person, Sarah in this case, can intimately know what's going on for that show.
Yeah.
And then every week, a couple times a week, she meets with you and your team on the marketing side to find out what's necessary to make the show better. And then we have team meetings every week. Just had one today we all talk about the shows, what's going good, what we can do better.
Right.
We're pretty invested into it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Event logistics, going back to event logistics, is a huge part of our foundational offerings, which we talked about a little bit earlier. Relate an airshow story to the importance of logistics and how AttendStar solved a problem at an airshow.
Be glad to. There's so many options I can think of right now. I'm going to mention one, though, that has been a real lifesaver. We did an airshow in a state, another city, which I won't name.
Yeah.
And they had one phone number for the airshow. For if you needed help at the airshow, you call that number. And it didn't roll over to another number. It was just that number. And there was one person that answered that phone. And eventually, as we got closer to the show, the phone rang so much, they took the phone off the hook because it rang too much. And I saw that because I was there visiting prior to the show. And then we got phone calls here in the office about things regarding the air show, and nobody was answering the phone. And then I found out later on that they were getting too many calls and they couldn't answer the phone. Yeah. And so sometimes they just stopped answering the phone. Well, I thought about that and I thought, communicating with people about the show, like who's going to perform, when is the show, what time, how much are kids, how much are whatever the hundreds of questions are. And the fact that one phone line will not work. It just won't work. When you've got 30,000 people or 50,000 people coming to your event, and the questions are going to come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before the show.
Yeah.
One line won't cut it.
Yep.
3 weeks later, we're at a show in another state. And now we have developed a integrated voice response system, IVR, with our telephone provider company, where we create a unique phone number for every show. Yeah. And what happens is when you call the number, it will say, "Thank you for calling the Great Tennessee Air Show, to be held June 30th and June 31st, or whatever the dates are." Yeah. And the idea is to share information, and press 1 for air show information, press 2 for ticketing, press 3 for safety information, press 4 for parking. So in other words, what we did was we developed a system in 3 weeks, less than 3 weeks, that we could use for every air show that was large like that, where the public could get the information they need about the show. And then as one of the extensions, if you need help with your tickets you've bought, press 2. And it would go to our call center, who were all people trained on air shows. Yep. I mean, so literally we divided our call center in half and we said non-air shows, air shows because we've picked up some non-air shows just by being in business in Music City, actually.
Right.
But we still focus on air shows. So we divide the call takers up. So we have air show experience and non-air show experience. And I don't think anybody does that either. So every time we go to a show, we learn something. A lot of times you'll see me sitting at a show taking videos on my phone or just watching the gate. Sometimes I'll sit there with a counter and I'll click people as they come through the gate. I want to know that we do 480 to 510 scans per hour. I want to know how fast the scanners are, how fast the customers get into the show, how far the lines get backed up. Where should security be? So are they on the right side? Should they be before the ticketing or after the ticketing? How many lanes for security? Well, we always need more lanes for security than we have lanes for scanning.
Yeah.
All of these little details that people think, why would a ticketing company have anything to do with that? That is somebody else's responsibility.
Yep.
Air shows are unique enough that we might as well do that task because not everybody has enough experience with it. Like we've seen hundreds and hundreds of air shows.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back to the custom IVR, just to talk about that a little bit more, when we provide that service to an air show and your team doesn't have to answer thousands of calls,
Yes.
Especially like you said, that Thursday and Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right before show weekend, the call volume is massive.
We could get 3,200 calls on a Friday.
Easily.
Yeah. And 94% of those will be answered by the IVR system.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and
it's cool.
They get to hear a general greeting, information about the show, useful information about the show. They get to press 2 to hear more about ticket options. They get to, press 1 to hear about more premium seating options.
Right.
Press 3 about parking information. Press 4 about FAQs.
Right.
Press 5 to talk to ticket buyer support.
Yeah.
And they can actually be transferred to our live team. Who answers those calls and handles any other inquiries.
Yeah, I mean 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
But it's amazing the IVR, how much information it does cover and how many answers, how many questions it answers.
Well, because you do that.
Because I do it. I will record your phone greeting for you, and I'll work with you to write a script. And we have a really good understanding because of how many we've done of what needs to be included in that script. And we'll send you over a draft, and you add, subtract anything you think is necessary. We'll talk through it, and we get it live.
We do. And we even think about details like, do you want a sponsor named on the greeting?
Yeah.
We're very, very cognizant, is the word I guess, of sponsorship for air shows.
Yeah.
We want to make sure it's on the phone greeting. We want to make sure it's on the ticket sales page. We want to make sure it's on the custom website that we build.
The tickets themselves.
Themselves. I mean, because we know a lot of these sponsors are paying, $200,000 to $400,000. And we want to make sure that they get recognized and they get their money's worth.
Absolutely. And a great touch point for your sponsors are the email campaigns that we'll send.
Absolutely.
Your email list, if you've never ticketed online before, you should.
Yeah.
But if you never have, and you start from ground zero and year after year, you build up that email list, collect all those emails, the value and sponsorship grows tremendously because they're going to get so many touch points just from the email campaign.
Right. And the sponsors want to know how many impressions they get for their sponsorship dollar. So if you're sending out 12, 15 emails for an air show and you've got 50,000 emails per show or 25,000, 10 of those is 250,000. So 10 emails with 25,000 each, that's 250,000 impressions that the sponsors are going to get.
Yeah.
That's really valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we want to help you show that value and give you access to that value that you can provide to sponsors. Another thing that I wanted to touch on too, at the event, the weekend of the event, when things go wrong, when you're putting on an outdoor event, there are things that can go wrong, and you've got to be prepared.
Right.
Having your IVR set up, being able to adjust that IVR on the fly with your ticketing company, with us,
Right.
Say in the event, Gary, you are at an air show.
Mm-hmm.
The day before the air show, it starts raining,
Mm-hmm.
and there's rain in the forecast for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through a little bit about what starts turning in your mind and what we start doing.
Okay. This actually happened several times.
Yeah, it
And
happens.
I'll mention St. Louis again because it happened there,
Yeah.
and my group of us were there to support the show. It started raining at midnight.
Yeah.
So I got up about
the night before
the night before the show,
Yeah.
on Thursday about midnight. So I got up about 4:00 in the morning to check the weather forecast, and we definitely had about an inch of rain.
Mm-hmm.
It was on grass lots, so we weren't going to be able to. We were afraid we wouldn't be able to park as many cars. So at 6:00 in the morning, we're out there scrounging around the parking lots on a golf cart. Made the decision that Saturday's show was sold out. We had enough parking that we could use. So we basically changed the greeting at 7:00 in the morning, told people that Saturday was sold out. It wasn't sold out, but that's the best way to explain it.
Right.
And then we changed the greeting on the phone by remote on my phone. I called into the greeting, changed the IVR, just driving around in the golf cart basically. And then we told people what was going on. The show was sold out on Saturday, but by on Sunday. So we had everything changed. We changed the landing page. We changed the ticket sales page. Everything was perfect. At the end of the day, we had about half as many people on Saturday as we hoped to have, but we tripled the attendance on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we sold more tickets overall because of how fast we were able to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very, that kind of instant reaction to things that happen at a show is really critical. Being able to know what to do and have the ability to do stuff remotely. We can't be like a lot of our competitors and say, well, we'll call the office on Monday. Well, the show's over on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't need any help then.
Right.
We need it right now. So a lot of times we'll make changes to seating, assignments. We'll do whatever we can the day of the show.
Right. Which, if you promote air shows or you're an event manager for an
Yeah.
air show, you know that Saturday attendance
Right.
on a sunny weekend is going to be a lot higher than
Yes.
Sunday.
I should have said that. You're right.
That's just how it is.
Right, how it is.
Across the board.
Yeah.
But in this scenario, AttendStar, we were able to communicate effectively to prospects, to attendees, explain what was going on, and boom, everybody comes on Sunday.
We can do, and along that same line of thinking, we have text messages which you've sent out on Saturday. We have rain events. We've sent text messages out for car crashes on the interstate. Exit 3 is closed. Go to exit 4.
Yeah.
If you're westbound coming from this on Interstate 70 or 40, I mean, we really get involved in what's going on.
Yeah,
and we really do. It's a lot of fun to do stuff like that and to be able to respond quickly. So
yeah, absolutely. Really diving deep into it, understanding what ticket buyers are coming from which zip code. What directions do they need to take?
Right.
If they're coming from I-40 North versus I-40 South.
And that's one of the things we do. We do quadrants.
Yeah.
So we'll do a quadrant. We'll cross this on a map, and we'll say, if you're coming from these 37 zip codes, take I-40 South, get on exit 62 or whatever. If you're coming from this quadrant, from this direction, take I-40 and get off on exit 49 and we'll divide up the traffic working with local law enforcement so we can spread the traffic out arriving to the airport.
Yeah.
And I will venture to say nobody does that.
Yeah.
I know in our case here in Nashville, the city that we're in at the airport, they were amazed that we could do that. And we literally told the police department here in our town here how many cars were coming from which direction. And the guy could not believe that we did that. The chief of police was shocked. And so they built they worked with the highway patrol and built all the flashing road signs to match what we were doing.
Yeah.
They were like, air show, exit 17. I mean, they got all that from us. And it was like, he just couldn't believe it. So we divided up the traffic because we had 5,000 cars to get in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun trying to look at things that ticketing companies don't do. Logistics. And the thing about it, which I really find interesting is that the logistics, the marketing, the logistics of traffic and ticketing, they all go together so nicely
Yeah.
because you can't have one without the other. If you have logistics, but you can't talk to people who need the logistical help, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you're not doing the ticketing, it's hard to integrate the sponsors in with the marketing.
Mhm.
So they all really do go together.
Yeah. And I think that explains the value that,
Right.
being a full service ticketing company brings to the table.
It does. When I started the company 15 years ago, we were $1 a ticket and we sold tickets online. That is literally that's all we did.
Yeah.
Now we're specialized in all the different support areas that air shows need to be successful.
Yeah.
Which is very important for not only civilian shows, but for our military shows.
Right.
The military shows, I mean, it's an open house. So what we're supposed to be doing is putting our best foot forward, sharing with the public what our men and women do to serve us. What do they do? We get to visit their world for one day.
Yeah.
And that's all we get to do. So we only got one day to impress the public about what the military does for us.
Yep.
So it's very important that we get it right.
Yeah. And, we love it. We have a passion for it.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, especially you.
Yeah, I know. I know. I got to calm down.
No, not at all.
No, I mean, I literally, I get up sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning and I just start.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very, very fortunate, very blessed because some people go to a job that they really don't like every day and I can't wait to get up and start my job.
Yeah.
The downside is by 6 o'clock, I'm worn out, but I go 100 miles an hour during the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Gary, talk a little bit about how long have we been involved at ICAS in Vegas?
International Council of Air Shows. We got involved our first year in business.
Okay.
So that means 14 years.
14 years ago.
Yeah, that we've been involved in International Council of Air Shows, and it's been great. We started out there with one booth, and it was on a folding table, and that was it. We were a sponsoring of nothing, and we had no clue what we were doing.
Yeah.
But over the years, we've gotten better and better at it. Now we do a presentation. We sponsor part of ICAS.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they call that level we sponsor, but we call it something.
Right.
So we sponsor the Innovation Awards every year at ICAS now. This year we had 2 booths.
Yeah.
They were, instead of 10 by 10, there were 2 booths at 10 by 20. Because we have a lot of visitors to our booth year after year that they come back and they say hi and so forth.
It's cool to see the retention rate.
It is very cool.
When we work with somebody and they're working with us full service AttendStar, they come back.
They do come back, and it's fast because that's how I vote whether we're doing a good job or not.
Yeah.
If we see them next year, they come back. And it's really exciting with military shows, because they usually go out for bids, and so they are also allowed to make exceptions if they've got firsthand knowledge, and they make exceptions.
Yeah.
So a lot of our shows that you think we would not get 6 years in a row, we get 6 years in a row.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because our customers pay the fee.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're the base, you're trying to get money to support the people that work at the base, the enlisted people that work at the base, for whether it's through MWR or whatever.
Yeah.
You're trying to raise money. So what we do is we put the marketing things, the travel expense, all into the ticket fee, and then we charge the public the ticket fee.
Yeah.
So it's free to the base. So the marketing, us showing up at the event, the hardware, the internet service, all of that we include in the ticket fee, which the public pays. So really, it doesn't cost the base anything.
If you attend ICAS and you missed our happy hour event, make sure you're there.
Yeah.
This year in 2024, which this year, is it at Paris?
It's the Paris this year.
So I've never been to the Paris.
Yep.
Is it? Do you think it's better than Caesars? Because I like Caesars Palace.
Yeah, I think it will be this year because it just got remodeled.
It did.
That's why we haven't been there for 2 years
at
ICAS. We did Harrah's and we did Caesars, but the Paris was completely remodeling the hotel and the restaurants. They have all new restaurants, which is great because I had the other ones all memorized.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to being back at the Paris.
Yeah.
Partly because that's where we started.
Yeah.
At the first ICAS thing, so it was pretty good.
It was at Paris for several years.
It was. It's always there.
It's pretty much always there. Okay.
But while they were remodeling, we moved somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, make sure you attend that happy hour event. You'll get free drinks.
It's amazing
free food.
What we do. Because, I mean, literally, 14, 15 years ago, we didn't know what to do. But now we have so many repeat people come to our booth that we really like seeing everybody. It's like homecoming to me. And
the challenge coins that we gave out.
Those were cool.
I like those a lot.
Those were really
Philip, who was on our first episode, he had a big part in helping design those challenge coins. And they turned out really, really well.
They're very popular with the military audience.
They were gone.
They
were gone.
That's popular.
We brought a lot. We thought we brought too many.
I didn't even when I first heard of the idea, I didn't even know what it was. I got to admit, I never heard of it.
Yeah.
But they were so popular. People would get one, and then an hour later, somebody would walk up and go, "Can you have any more of those challenge coins?" And I was like, "Wow, I can't believe this."
I thought it was cool whenever I handed a challenge coin to somebody, if they gave me a challenge coin back.
Yeah.
That happened a few times at ICAST.
I didn't even know all that was possible.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So maybe more and more ICAST members will make their own challenge coins.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
hand them out. That would be pretty cool. Gary, explain the importance of partnership with your ticketing company. We've touched a lot on it, but talk about what comes to mind immediately, and think of a story where AttendStar specifically just saved the day.
Wow, there's quite a few of those. But I think, to me, in the event business, a partnership means more than likely you as the event manager, you probably have my cell phone number.
Yeah.
And you call me Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
That's how you know you've got a real partnership going on.
Yeah.
It's not like, thank you for calling. We'll call you back on Monday.
Right. 48 hours later, you get a call back.
But I think where I see these things happening is where tickets go on sale on a Saturday morning. They sell a lot of tickets. And so I call the show, or the show calls me, and I say, "Hey, can we raise the price $10?
Yeah.
And they go, "Sure." And I raise the price $10 right then and there.
Yeah.
So it's like dynamic ticketing. So it's very popular, so we can raise the price.
Yeah.
I think sponsors that didn't get their free tickets, for example, we print the tickets and we send them overnight, and we don't even charge them for it. I mean, we FedEx them overnight. We're not tracking every single penny. We're trying to figure out, all we care about is what makes this work.
Yeah.
And we've done it enough that we know there's going to be some $1,000 or something we spend that we're not going to track. Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
Yeah. That's, it separates us, I guess, in this industry, because a lot of ticketing companies out there are just not that personable.
Well, it's what they call in our industry. It's called software as a service.
Right.
And SaaS, you probably heard that term. And it basically means you rent their software.
Yeah.
Or you use their software. And the software is the asset that you get from them. Mm-hmm. But at AttendStar, we should be calling ourselves people as a service. We use the software that we own, by the way, but we use the people to make it happen more than we use the software. Because most of our clients, well, quite a few of them, I guess, they never log into the software.
Right, because
they call us.
They have that trust established with their client success manager.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they'll call me at 8 o'clock at night. 7 o'clock in the morning if it's a military show.
Yeah.
I get called all the time, but unfortunately, it has to be that way. I say unfortunately, kind of like, because it is 7 days a week. I'm so glad when December comes because there's no more shows. But but then I get about a month or two break, and then I go back on sale again. So
right.
But it's quite exciting because you really never know what's going to happen one week to the next.
No, it doesn't. This industry keeps you on your toes,
right?
For sure.
It does. It really does. So
yeah. I one story I guess that comes to mind of something that happened in 2023.
Okay,
was at Grand Junction.
Oh yeah,
and what Russell, your son, maybe we'll have Russell on.
I'm trying to get this in the family. I'm trying to keep it in the family, but
we'll have Russell on for a podcast to talk about this as well. But explain what happened at Grand Junction.
Well, what happened apparently was that the internet failed, and some of the vendors couldn't get an internet signal to sell food
Yeah.
and merchandise.
Right.
So what we did was we used one of our satellite dishes that we had. We brought 3, I think, with us because we have several different ways of connectivity.
Right.
The most reliable and the backup mode we use is satellite. If all else fails, we use satellite. So we set up a satellite dish and we aimed it, set up, and we put it in a position. I believe it was at the control tower, so that the food vendors could use our satellite internet so they could sell unauthorized credit cards.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I mean, on the spot, we did this. I mean, so it's not like we had any plan to do this. It was like, the internet is down and everything at AttendStar is working fine, but the vendors can't sell food and water and booze.
They have no internet.
They have no internet.
Yeah.
So we thought, well, I think we could fix that.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
Sure enough, it happened. That means we will always do that show forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those kind of stories happen a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, the internet goes down. We do this. We loan our hardware to the food vendors that have nothing to do with us, because it's all about the guest experience. You have to have the guest experience down. You have to have it covered. Yeah. You can't just go, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Right.
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because the stores make a lot of money on the food. Yeah. If they have the right concessionaire, the food is a big money maker. Oh yeah. So we got to keep selling.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you talk about the importance of how easy it is for attendees to actually get to the show, get through the gates.
That's right.
Making sure that's seamless.
Yep.
Because they're way more likely to spend more money on concessions.
Absolutely.
And enjoy themselves. Right. And everything that the air show has to offer while they're there. Otherwise, if they have a terrible experience getting through the gate, whether parking, getting through the gate, long lines,
they may not come back.
And they also may leave early.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it. It's always been fascinating. When there's not enough water and it's 95 degrees on the ramp at an airport, people leave early.
The heart of the summer. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
So, I mean, having enough water and having the right concessions is really, really important. And they have to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I think when I think about air shows, it's kind of funny because I think about what can go wrong. Everything can go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, and what to be able to cope with the problem and deal with the problem and analyze it and solve it really quickly, that's what's critical. It's not going to be easy.
No.
It'll be worth it.
It's definitely not going to be easy.
No. In fact, most air show people on Monday morning, they say they will never do this again.
The Monday after the show.
Right. The Monday after the show. They'll say, I will never do this ever again. I hear this all the time. How'd it go? I'm never doing it again. Yeah. 2 weeks later, well, next year, maybe we could. And I'm like, I knew you'd come back.
I knew that.
It's like, it's a disease. It's addiction. You come back.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's so hard.
Yeah.
People love winning.
It's
when
a
it's
challenge.
Hard. It's a challenge. And when you win on something that's hard, you feel good about yourself. If it was super easy, you don't really feel that good about yourself. It was too easy.
Yeah. And that's part of the reason why we're so passionate about air shows is because we love a challenge.
Right. That's why I love it.
And with the huge number of air shows that we've done and ticketed, partnered with, we've ran into a ton of things.
We've run into a lot. And that's because we go to a lot of shows.
Yeah. So we've learned a lot as a result.
We've learned a lot. I mean, I've been to hundreds of air shows and I watch the most unusual things. Like literally, I mean, it's like I spend most of my time at the gate.
Yeah.
I mean, at the parking lots. I mean, most other people go, they want to watch the show. I've seen a lot of the maneuvers. I got most of them memorized, but I don't really need to see the Blue Angels fly. They're really, really good. Those like the Thunderbirds, and A-10s and everybody else, by the way. Yeah. But I belong at the gates. That's where the action is. Yeah. Watching the scanners, watching the cash register and the ticket box office work and the internet, and somebody else roams around the grounds and make sure the concessions have internet and stuff like that. But I usually am at the gate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where the action happens for the ticketing company.
The ticketing company, we're at the gate.
Well, Gary, thanks so much for joining us today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for joining the AttendStar Happy Hour podcast, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.